to you by
Makerere Institute for Social Development, a certified institution for higher learning, invites applicants for certificates and diploma courses. MISD or Makerere Institute for Social Development, facilitating your career.
And on the 19th of June, it is a Friday. Thank you once again for allowing us into your space. And from the budget dialogue right now into the news, the NRM's Patricia Kisembo has emerged winner of Kikube District LC5 chairperson by elections, defeating NUP's Fenekansi Timanyire. Kisembo polled 26,612 votes against Timanyire, 8,712 votes in results announced by the Kikube District Returning Officer Emmanuel Twine.
I declare Kisembo Pade, who has obtained the largest number of votes, to be elected candidate for Kikube Electoral District. Signed, Returning Officer.
At about 10 p.m. Thursday evening, the Kikube District Returning Officer Emmanuel Twine declared the NRM's Patricia Kisembo winner of the LC5 chairperson by-election. Kisembo secured 26,612 votes, beating NUP's Fenekansi Timanyire, who polled 8,712 votes.
Candidate Timanyire will also...
After the declaration, Kisembo welcomed the victory and called for unity among the people of Kikube, saying the focus would now shift to service delivery.
It is not my own victory. It is a victory for the people of Kikube, those who believe in me. And
we have won the race. So I'm calling upon the people of Kikube, please get together and work with their new governor, Chairman Kisembo Pade.
The Electoral Commission chairperson commended the residents of Kikube for keeping peace throughout the electoral process, but raised concern over the low voter turnout.
We have, with my colleagues, moved around the district, the various polling stations, and we saw ourselves how the exercise was going on.
Well, and of course, in the area of digital skilling, more than 400 young women have graduated from Refactory Academy 10 times program after completing training in digital skilling. The certificate awards ceremony was held at Clark International University in Kampala.
Uganda's economy industry is growing, but the skills gap remains wide. Refactory Academy says its 10X program is training young people for practical jobs in the digital economy. According to the organizers, the program has trained over 2,500 youths in 2 years, with young women making up to 90% of learners. At Clark International University, more than 400 young women from January to June 2026 cohort received their certificates. The program lead said the graduates are entering a market where skills in software, data, cloud, design and cybersecurity are in demand. Commencement speaker Joanita Asiobanda, head of engineering, technology and women in teach lead at Stanbic Bank, urged graduates to keep learning and build strong networks in the technology space.
There were times when there were challenges, things were tough, exams were not passed, stakeholders were difficult, theories were not easy to understand.
Refactory says it has opened 10 learning centers across Uganda with computers, internet, access and learner support. The 10X program is implemented by Outbox Uganda Limited in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation.
If you are young people, if you're going to succeed in life, you must be able to be fit, you must be able to mind about your wellness, not only you but your family.
I'd like to congratulate every single individual in this room who is a graduate from all the different cohorts.
Now, a little bit into the agriculture sector. Government and players in Uganda's avocado value chain have met in Kampala to discuss bottlenecks affecting production, quality, value addition, and access to export markets.
Uganda's avocado industry is gaining momentum, but farmers and exporters say better coordination is needed to compete in international markets. Government officials met stakeholders across the value chain to discuss challenges affecting production, processing and trade. Representing the head of the State House Investors Protection Unit, Colonel Edith Nakalema, Stefan Kahelu said the engagement is aimed at addressing bottlenecks and promoting investment in the sector.
We share a common vision, the vision of transforming the avocado value chain into a vehicle that catalyzes economic growth, sustainable development, and improves rural livelihoods.
The Ministry of Trade said views from farmers, exporters and processors will help them shape government interventions on quality, value addition and market access.
Government, we are committed to ensuring that farmers, processors, exporters and other value chain actors work together in a coordinated environment that promotes quality production, value addition, market access and compliance with international standards.
The Ministry of Agriculture described avocado as an emerging commercial crop that requires stronger coordination among players in the value chain.
One of the cardinal roles is to support the private sector investments together with the Ministry of Trade in oil extraction, curing, and cosmetics and other value-added products.
Uganda Agribusiness Alliance Board Chairperson Victoria Sechitoleko called for a clear national strategy, saying avocado has become a major export opportunity.
So we are going to need new policies, we are going to need a strategy for avocado. We are also going to, we are already having new partners. So we need government. For example, when it comes to dealing with the external countries and our embassies abroad, we need government to be there to talk with us.
Alliance representative Francis Kasirinya said success in export markets will depend on consistent quality, competitive pricing and trust.
You must meet the requirements of quality, you must meet the requirements of price, but you also have to be trusted. It's not, even if you meet the two, people must trust your product.
Avotain Farms Chief Executive Officer Hank Dallan urged farmers to focus on proper handling and quality standards, particularly for Hass avocado.
So market is there. There's a huge market. The demand is overwhelming. So what you're doing today is good. Don't think farming Hass avocado is a bad venture. Keep doing it. Increase it, actually.
Farmers cautioned against regulation that could limit access to buyers already offering better farm gate prices. Ntungam farmer Harriet Matisco called for support in irrigation.
Now, women leaders have called for more funding and less political interference in the implementation of the Institutional Support Fund for the National Women Council. During a regional performance review meeting, the leaders said the fund has supported cancer activities but remains too small to reach women at all grassroots.
Leaders and representatives from the National Women's Council have reviewed the performance of the Institutional Support Fund and its role in strengthening women's structures across districts. The meeting noted that while the fund has helped Council run some activities, its work is still affected by inadequate releases, delayed funding, and political interference in some areas.
Different districts, Today, we are closing a financial year, and we had to take stock on what the money has done, to see whether there is value for money, to see if we can advocate for more money, and look at the challenges and identify areas of improvement.
Stakeholders said the money available is not enough to support village-level work, especially as the financial year comes to a close. They said grassroots women leaders need more facilitation to monitor government programs, mobilize communities and educate women on their rights and responsibilities.
To thank the government because it is preparing the elections for the Women's Council. Those ones who are coming, kindly, the government should give them, empower them with funds to see that they are bridging that gap between the national and the village.
Leaders for hard-to-reach districts also ask government to consider the cost of operating in difficult terrain.
Yes, this money is dispersed depending on the formula, but we see some little bit of gaps in the formula that calls for affirmative action, especially if we are to offer service to the island communities. Okay, we have made recommendations that the ministry has to look into that, to ensure that there is affirmative action for Buvuma. For example, the cost of administering a service to one administrative unit in Buvuma can be equivalent to about 10 administrative units. For example, in a district like maybe Kayunga or Mukono.
The meeting further asked government to prioritize district-level Women's Day celebrations, saying the absence of national celebrations should not stop districts from recognizing the contribution of women in their communities.
We have accepted that if the money is going for other priority areas, can we agree to put emphasis on the District Women's Day celebration? Because this is going to help us bring women on board from lower local governments to have an opportunity to celebrate Women's Day, because this is the only platform that we can use to talk about the achievements, to talk about the challenges, and forging a way forward and looking for more funders to support women's program. We have all agreed that we are grateful to the government of Uganda under the leadership of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for the good work, for the support that the government of Uganda has given to the women. President Museveni has supported women since he came in office, despite the fact that he is not a woman.
The recommendations from the review are expected to guide future planning and budgeting for the Institutional Support Fund. Sada Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Well, thank you very much there, Saddam Mubale. Now, the private secretary to the president in charge of education and skilling, Jimmy Nambiro, has warned administrators of government-aided schools against charging learners unauthorized fees. Nambiro said illegal charges undermine government efforts to make education accessible to all Ugandans.
We have always said that the budget is managed by the president, and like you are saying, the education sector has benefited. That's what we want to tell the public, that in this year's budget, 2026-2027, the education sector, I think, is one of the sectors that came out with the lion's share. And so that has to put a smile on each one of us who is in the spheres of education. It is against the law of our friends who are leading schools that are under universal education, imposing illegal charges, putting illegal charges on students, sending children out of school because of those illegal charges. The president has done what he can to see that this sector of education is facilitated. The teachers are paid well. Every school gets what we call a capitation grant. And by the one time, by the second week before the school opens, all schools have capitation grant on their accounts to enable them run schools. So we should live and give a chance to these children. The president always refers to them as the children of the poor, to also have a chance to get education. I have gone ahead to tell the listeners, the viewers on different forums that the president did not begin universal education at all levels, primary, secondary, for the rich. this program was started for the poor. So the people who are bringing the money element in, we would just kindly advise them that if you have the money, you look for where money is paid for. But the schools that are under universal primary education, universal secondary education, they must be absolutely free as desired by the president and as guided by the law and the policy. So many things that should make Ugandans really happy about what is happening in the education sector. You remember on the 29th of May, the Uganda National Examinations Board came out and really physically, because that's what I have been telling UNEB, that UNEB, you need to come out and speak to this. The government pays for students to register primary who are in UPE. The government pays for them registration fees, UNEB.
Now, the parish development model is beginning to show results in parts of Wakiso, with beneficiaries in Kasanje and Kajansi town councils reporting progress in farming and small enterprise work.
Focus on enterprises such as piggery, poultry, beekeeping, coffee farming and maize growing. Government has invested heavily in the two areas, disbursing about 2.5 billion Ugandan shillings to Kasanje Town Council and 4.5 billion shillings to Kajansi Town Council. Residents said the program has enabled many households to venture into income-generating activities, improving their prospects for economic growth and self-reliance.
Coffee Farmers Group. Nafuna sente, nafuna kakadi. Mu mwaka gwa 2023. Bwe nafuna sente ezo, ekiroto kyange kyali kyakwagala kufuna bigimusa. Yemwanyi zirina naye nga zibulamu okuliisa obulungi. Bwe nafuna sente ezo, nengula ebigimusa ensawo 6 nga buli ensawo njigula sinyise emitwalo 15. Bwe nali sinaba kutandika kufuna bigimusa, ali nkungula ensawo 8. Naye bwe nayiwamu ebigimusa nenfuna ensawo 15. Ensawo ezo 15 nga buli kiro ensawo evaamu kiro 7 natunda kibooko. Buli ensawo ng'evaamu kiro 7. Ekibalo ne kivaamu buli ensawo nga ngifunamu emitwalo 35. Nagenda okugatta omuwendo gwonna awamu nenfuna miliyoni 4.
However, some leaders expressed dissatisfaction with the way the parish development model was politicized during the recently concluded 2026 general elections. The resident district commissioner for Entebbe applauded government for the initiative and urged beneficiaries to use their funds responsibly to improve their livelihoods and uplift their families.
Ne communities engaging ensigo government PDM ene bansigo nti ensigo tebagirya naye bagikola kibagisiga ate ne balinda okugikungula.
The PDM Enterprise Development Specialist Irene Mwanguzi appealed to leaders to remain transparent while executing their duties and encouraged residents to hold their leaders accountable to ensure the program continues delivering positive results.
Tubasanyufu nnyo okulaba nti ekintu kino emyaka egiyise bwe tuba twatandika oba kuva omukulembeze w'eggwanga lwe yanjula oba launched PDM tuyisizaawo emyaka 4 oba genda mu.
Abantu Machabe Semambo and John Mulungi reporting for ABC.
Now about the Blood Donor Day, Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited has partnered with the Uganda Blood Transfusion Services to commemorate World Blood Donor Day. To mark the commemoration, the Blood Transfusion Agency camped at UETCL offices to conduct a blood donation drive where at least 400 employees participated in donating blood.
This is an activity that we've done over the last 3 years, and this is the 4th year that we're doing it, because as an organization we believe that beyond impacting lives by powering homes and giving and ensuring that industries are powered, we also have a responsibility to ensure the well-being of the people that we serve. And Uganda Blood Transfusion Services, not so long ago, issued an article where they said there's a blood crisis whereby the blood donors every now and then keep reducing. So we have heed to their call by rallying our staff. As UETCL, we have a staff count of around 800 people. So if we can rally at least half of those, that would go a long way in helping Uganda Blood Transfusion Services collect at least a sizable number or amount of units that they require.
We always collect around like 80% of what is needed, 80 to 90%. Now we are covering 90% of what is needed in the country. So we are so glad that people can invite us and reduce on that gap of 1%. Ladies and gentlemen, if one needs blood, it must be blood. There's no substitute. Blood has no factory. So I'm inviting each one of you, if you are feeling well, 17 years of age and above, 50 kilograms, up to 60 years, come and give blood and save others in need.
The State Minister for Fisheries, Robert Migadendugwa, has vowed to intensify the fight against individuals importing and trading illegal fishing gears, warning fishing communities against engaging in corruption that undermines the efforts to protect Uganda's fishery sector.
Bulambale bubala okujjuza ekifo ky'omubaka omukyala akiikirira disitulikiti y'e Kalangala. Minisita omubeezi w'ebyobuvubi Robert Migadendugwa yeegasse ku bakulembeze ba
Well, we do apologize for a mess-up in that story, but we will bring it in our subsequent bulletin. Now, as we move ahead into Coffee and Cocoa Expo, the Ministry of Tourism has partnered with that of Agriculture to promote coffee and cocoa in the forthcoming expo, which intends to attract participants from the region and beyond.
The Coffee and Cocoa Expo 2026 aims to showcase Uganda's finest Robusta and Arabica coffee, as well as connecting stakeholders in the value chain to global markets.
It is to showcase the finest Arabica and Robusta coffee while creating direct linkages between producers and the global markets.
Tourism Ministry, working with that of Agriculture, want to promote these crops as tourist attractions.
And for us to now link that to tourism, which is also one of the GDP drivers of Uganda for the foreseeable future. The next 10 years, our future is hinged on the prosperity or the thriving of the tourism sector, because we have been challenged by the government and by the National Planning Authority to deliver a 25-fold growth ahead of the 10-fold growth plan. So tourism will need to tap into all the different assets.
The conference, in our view, is meant to bring about the interplay between the growers, but more importantly, best practices in agribusiness. And that's why we are partnering with government, because we need the infrastructure, we need extension work to prove that we can push that agenda up there.
The expo is expected to bring together innovators, investors, and development partners to discuss some potential trade opportunities.
For the small and medium enterprises and processors, we believe it is going to provide a platform to showcase value-added products, connect with buyers, and explore export opportunities. We also believe that for the investors, it highlights Uganda's potential in specialty coffee, in premium chocolate, in agro-tourism and green investment.
The Uganda Coffee and Cocoa Expo 2026 is set for August 13th to 15th at Kampala Serena Hotel. The expo will be held under the theme Empowering Uganda's Coffee and Tourism for Global Reach. Abdul Nasser Lubwama and Regana Humza for UBC.
Now, members of the Civil Road Safety Advocacy Coalition Uganda have underscored the need for identifying alternative income-generating sources to reduce over-reliance on donor communities.
It is healthy to stretch everyone out in the city. We
talked much about our activities, but we found out that some members, because we depend on donors and grants, some are not doing well. So the piece of advice I gave was that while we do road safety work, we should have income-generating activities aside, which can support the work of road safety. And members agreed, and some showed that they have side activities which, from their savings, contribute to road safety.
You know, all these other things that are coming from the US. Let's brace up. Let's get ourselves ready. Let's think about partnerships. Let's think about collaboration. Let me tell you, you see people here holding microphones and talk about the funding they have, but what they go through to get that funding. Negotiating, writing proposals, defending for funding. The donor world doesn't deal with gambling.
Guide looks at simplifying the standards for helmets in Uganda, or the required standards by UNBS for helmets in Uganda, and gives a pictorial overview of what the required standard is and what to check for, what the fines look like for not wearing it. Really, it's an educational material. It's not a policy, it's an educational material.
We have also joined it as an organization of persons with disabilities. And I believe working together with our experiences, our data that we have as an OPD, we shall achieve. United we stand, and divided we. Thank you very much.
And that's it for today. Till the next episode.
Like a daily bando. Omuliro nguwulira muli mu mutima kukankana like drums. Kalakata, enendungu ya kusabula. Mikono juu, pray on fire, pray on fire, pray on fire.
And lastly, as we wind up, the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection has called for increased government investment in social protection programs, saying they are critical in addressing poverty, vulnerability and inequality among Ugandans.
In the next financial year, we are starting a program on child disability grants, which will be 100% government funded at 15 billion. So we are taking steps in that direction. Then also enhance public awareness to inform the communities and inform the public about these programs so that they can participate in the planning and the implementation.
To indicate that social protection must be
provided for all the people of Uganda. And we are taking social protection as a humanitarian tool, and so it must continue to be given up to the whole life cycle. We should ensure decent labor, decent employment. After people have come from school, they must enjoy decent employment.
But most of these programs have a very low coverage. We did talk about, for example, the 3 groups in the second for the whole district is really very low. Even with the child stability program that we're going to implement, the coverage is very low. At least percentage is near 100%, very good. But largely, if only 6.4% of our vulnerable population are covered by this one social protection program, when the subsaharan average is 17, then we have work to do. But also these programs are very fragmented and don't cover the persons in the informal sector. So we also need to pay attention to the informal sector, including refugees. This is something that we are continuing to build, the capacities of all of us to appreciate social protection initiatives.
And that's all we had time for. Thank you once again for being a part of us. My name is Patricia Lukoma Mpangwe. Good afternoon.